Have you ever been mistaken for an employee when you were in the store? Well, r/IDontWorkHereLady is for you. I'm Red, and this is Red by Red. Let's get going with our first story. Banshee Karen chases me. This may not be very noteworthy, and this was years before Karen came to be a thing. It was summer and I was dressed in my usual t-shirt, shorts and sandals I wear when I'm not at work. I happened to stop by a grocery store I was passing by on the way home to see what might look good for dinner. After a few minutes of walking around, I ended up at the freezer section, which were tall, upright freezers with glass doors. The store had stocked some items on top of these freezers, which were out of reach for most people. Now, I'm very tall, and I'm used to some people coming up to ask me for help to get them something, which I'm fine with, because they ask politely. But in this case, it was something different. I was standing there looking at one end of the freezer section, looking through the glass door at what they had to choose from, when I hear this, "Come here and get this down!" I really didn't pay much attention to it as I was busy looking for something to eat. After a few seconds, I thought I hear, "I said, come here now and get this down for me." I looked over down the aisle at the other end of the freezer section, and some old woman was glaring at me. I thought maybe someone was behind me, and I looked around, but it was only me and her in that aisle. Seeing as I'm not a servant, slave, or a dog, I turned back to the freezer and continued to look at products. Just then, it screamed at me in such a severe banshee tone, I thought the glass freezer doors would shatter. "I said come over here and get this down for me now!" I turned and walked away, heading to the other side of the store. As I did, I heard her running after me, screaming in that banshee tone, "Come back here! I said get that down for me!" No matter how many turns I made or how many aisles I went down, she was behind me, chasing me. Luckily, I was much faster than she was. After about 2 minutes of this, I just headed for the front of the store and left out the front door, all the while hearing her banshee screeches, "Get back here and get that down for me!" Luckily for her, I had reached the front doors before she reached me, because I'd already made peace with myself about jail, because if she reached me and grabbed me, I was going to put my fist through her face. I wonder what was going on in this woman's head. Like, there's no reason to talk to anyone that way. And chasing him, that's hilarious. Okay, now's a good time to like the video, and we'll get on with the next story. I swear they get younger every year. So, this happened over a decade ago, but I was reminded by a Facebook memory and thought it could fit here. So, when I was about 10 or 11, I went to a middle school that required a school uniform. I was wearing a navy polo shirt and a khaki skirt. A skirt with built-in shorts under it. I was scrawny as hell. Beanpole would be an accurate description. Well, after school one day, my brother and I go to a major chain electronics company to get a new mouse for the family desktop computer. The company uniform was a royal blue shirt with a yellow tag logo and khakis, so I looked like a miniature employee. Well, my brother spends about 45 minutes searching the video game aisle for games he couldn't afford. I wander the store. I'm in the laptop case section by the back wall when I see a little old lady trying to grab a bag from the top shelf, but can't straighten enough to reach it. She sees me approach and lights up. "Excuse me, miss, would you mind helping me get the purple bag?" I'm 11, I was taught to help my elders, and had nothing better to do. I could barely get it as I was still short as hell, but I got it off the hook. "Here you go, ma'am." "Thank you so much. My granddaughter just got a full scholarship to school, and purple is the school colour." "Wow, a full scholarship? She must be super smart." "She is. Such a good girl." The little old lady then wanders off towards the front counter, but I hear her mumble, "I swear they get younger every year." Stop. This is a happy ending. I wish this was where the story ended, but alas, it did not stop there. About 5 more minutes pass before I hear a toddler shrieking, "Baño, baño, mommy!" The kid was probably about 3, and his mum was looking around frantically while talking to the boy in Spanish. Well, as a regular to the store, I knew there wasn't a public bathroom. I also knew very little Spanish at the time, so I did my best. Pardon mías, tengo un baño aquí en la tienda. Es un baño en el tienda a la derecha, para la puerta. I pointed to the store next to us that had a bathroom. I know, my conjugations and everything were awful at the time, and I had never had an actual conversation with a native speaker. I still am not fluent and don't claim to be. She understood what I was trying to say and thanked me. She said something I didn't understand before picking up her kid and rushing off. Well, she left her purse behind. I felt awkward walking away and leaving it there unattended, so I lingered while waiting for her to come back. Well, another 5 minutes pass and she still isn't back. I'm really bored at this point, so I start straightening products on the shelves. When up comes a couple, two atypical Karens. So, Mr. and Mrs. Karen walk up to me. The man had a cart loaded down with a TV and a bunch of other stuff. The woman walks up to me and looks down at me with a disgusted look. They're backed up at the register. I'm sorry? You should be. You need to check us out right now. I don't work here. Yes, you do. No, I don't. I've seen you help 2 other customers already. And you're cleaning stuff right now. Sir, I really don't work here. I'm just hanging out here after school. You little white trash lying bum. You don't want to help us because we're black. That's it, isn't it? You're a little racist witch. I'm 11 and I was starting to tear up. No, I'm not. I'm just bored waiting for my... Get your lazy effing butt up to the counter where it belongs and check us out then. Before we get you fired, you racist cow. I start backing away because I'm scared. But Mrs. Karen looms over me. Don't you dare walk away from me! She then shoved me and I fell into a new video game console display, knocking over about 15 boxes. It made a very loud and expensive sounding crash. Cue dismayed employee and older brother showing up finally. My brother said, "Jane, are you okay?" Dismayed employee. What happened? I'll tell you what happened. This effing racist employee knocked the display over on purpose so she could blame it on us. Yeah, and at first she said that she didn't work for N-words like us and that we should go back to Africa where we belong. People like her shouldn't work here. She should be in prison. Me, an already emotional train wreck of an individual who was in counselling for crippling self-doubt and anxiety, bursts into tears. Pathetic! The employee paused and looked over at me. Wait, who are you? She's one of the employees here. I saw her helping other customers. No, she's not. She's my little sister. Don't cover up for a racist brat. She's 11. She's supposed to be a brat, but she's too nice. Honestly, it's annoying how nice she is. Grumpy manager finally comes out of his office and ushers us into 2 different rooms. Police are called because they wanted to press charges against me. Well, the police show up and are taking statements. Now, they're also accusing me of assault and theft. My mum came from the grocery store next door to pick us up and go home and is directed to the manager's office. Police come in to take my statement. I tell them my side of the story. They ask if I have any ID. I pull out my 5th grade student ID for a local elementary school. One of the officers looks at it and asks what teacher I have. Miss M, sir. Really? My daughter's in that class. So I read his last name off his uniform and recognize it as my good friend from school. Are you Mary's dad? That'd be me. Are you the Jane she's been trying to have a sleepover with? I nodded. Well, we have your statements and have watched the footage. Mum. Footage? Yeah, the whole thing was on tape, including Jane helping some other customers, them yelling at you, the woman pushing you into that display, and then blaming you. Mum. Really? Thank goodness. Would you like to press charges? After that, the 2 were taken away in handcuffs. We pressed charges. While they were taken away, the man screamed threats at me and kicked the officer. As he was being placed in the police car, the Hispanic woman who I'd helped walked up beside my family and said, "That guy is crazy." I turned to her and stared in awe and a bit of confusion. Yes, I speak English. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to assume. I just heard you talking in Spanish earlier, so... Don't worry about it. It was sweet that you were trying so hard to be helpful. Keep practicing. After that, my mum always took us home to change out of our school uniforms before we went to the store. Oh my god, I would be scared to go back to a store again if that happened to me at that age. Wow. Those were some pretty epic / I don't work here lady stories. Read by me, Red. If you had fun and enjoyed this video, please give it a like by clicking the thumbs up button. And while you're there, subscribe as well, because you don't want to miss any stories, right? Thank you very much for watching today. Have a good rest of your day.